All right, here we go, live on the Power Lunch live show. A couple minutes late due to some technical difficulties, but that's okay. That doesn't stop us. We're getting in here because we got to get out to you. So, the Power Lunch live show, for those of you who do not know, is where I will introduce various guests, up to 4 of them, and behind me are up to 4 guests, somewhere between 1 and 4. How many? You don't know. You'll find out in a moment as I sit here and ramble for you to find us, and because it's live. And it takes about 6 seconds for you to find that the live is going on. In the meantime, let me share that the Power Lunch Live Show is brought to you by JV Connect, which is September 10th and 11th, the dedicated, abundance-minded networking event. If you're looking to make real connections and not just pitch at people until they pitch at you, then check this out, jvconnect.com with a hyphen in the middle. September 10th and 11th, you want to be a part of that. And with that, it's time to meet our guest, Melissa Henry.
Hello.
So, this show is brought to us by the power of serendipity and random happenstance, and serendipity and random happenstance decided that one of our guests would show up. So, this is her. So, I'm going to start by reading Melissa's bio here, and then we'll have a conversation. So, yeah. Melissa Henry, founder of Personal Brandtography, helps coaches and consultants who feel like their brand is a mish-mash and not attracting their perfect clients create an irresistible, authentic brand, one that allows them to bring a big impact and make more money in their business. With over 14 years as an entrepreneur and brand builder, Melissa's approach is combining brand foundation clarity, visual brand strategy, and custom photography to help her clients gain clear direction and optimize their brand so they can grow and scale faster. And I love that her background looks a lot like the cover of my book, The Guy Who Knows a Guy, with the the angles and the maroon and the white. So
yeah, well, great minds think alike.
This conversation is meant to be. Yes, so welcome to the show, Melissa.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yep. So tell us a bit about what brandtography is.
So, okay, well, that's a good question. What specifically are you headed, like what direction are you headed in? Just want to understand what it is that I do, or why brandtography?
Any way you want to take it.
Okay, well, I would say this. I spent so many years in a space of, corporate world, all of that. When I came out of that corporate world, I had a side business going on, which was my photography business. But I quickly realized when I came right out of corporate that this thing called personal branding existed. And I was like, what? And it was really cool because this was like right up my alley. This was exactly the kind of photography I love to do. I wasn't doing that up until that moment. But then as I kind of got into it, I started to understand a little bit better about what a brand really is. And I think a lot of people will say, well, I'm not a brand, I'm a person. And that's 1000% true. But it's really more about being super intentional about how you're showing up in the world. And also something that a lot of people don't really understand either is they'll think about a brand as being, okay, that's a company, and then I'm a person. And well, how does that mix together? If I have a personal brand and a company brand, how do I manage that? And I think one of the things that has kind of evolved over the last, I would say probably 5 to 6 years or so, is that people can be the parent brand. So there are so many people, consultants, coaches, people who are service providers that actually stand out, like they want to be the face of the business. Well, you can actually build a business as you. You are the business. So then that becomes the parent brand and everything else kind of falls underneath that. So it's kind of my job, I would say, to help people understand this, all of these concepts around that, understand, like, do they stand out as the parent brand themselves? Or is it more a matter of, hey, I'm going to have a company brand, and then that way I can kind of step a little bit back and I can actually promote the company brand, that kind of thing. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just a matter of, like, let's pick the way that makes the most sense for you. And that actually can be a lot easier really to go out there as a personal brand, but there's a lot of factors there. So, but it's my job to help people figure that out, like which one should I go for? And And also, how do I show up as the best possible version of me or my brand? And that's another, kind of unknown for a lot of people. It's like, there's so much about me. Like, what should I tell people? How should I look? What's going to attract my right fit clients? All that stuff. So it's kind of a big puzzle. But that's kind of really what I do. And the reason for, you know, the existence of brandtography is kind of combining, both of those sides. Let's figure out what is the basis, the foundational stuff, and then let's have you show up as the best version of yourself.
Yeah, and that's a really good point about the difference between personal brand and business brand, and I think a lot of people, their idea of branding is McDonald's and Coca-Cola, and
Hmm.
so then they start a business and they're like, well, I don't want to be, or I shouldn't, be all human. I should be a brand identity. And what's interesting is these companies, they bend over backwards to try to humanize their brand. Yeah,
Yeah,
Wendy's has Wendy, Colonel Sanders at KFC.
right.
So many, the progressive has Flo, the progressive spokesperson, because
Yes,
you don't want to work with a company. Companies are the ones that screw people. Whereas,
that's right.
that gecko couldn't hurt anybody. You can trust that gecko. He's got a British accent.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, is that if you are a real person, people like working with real people because you can trust a person, or at least you can know a person. You can trust them to be who they are. You can't trust a corporation because their CEO changes, they change their policies, they're taking your money, they're ripping you off, you
Hmm.
know. But you can trust a person, or at least get to know them and be like, yeah, I know they'll never steal my money, but maybe they don't return calls on time. Like, you get to learn the quirks of a person in the way you can't with a company. So that's really important.
Yes, and that's interesting that you say that because even if it is a personal brand, so what you described there when when you're talking about the corporations that have um, different characters and things like that that they've developed to humanize the brand, um, that is their whole reason because it is the connection, right? But you can actually create a personal brand that has a character to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really kind of pulling out of you, um, what is it that it will most resonate with your ideal clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you create that character brand, it's still you, it's authentically you. You're just pulling out those aspects of it. And then when you do that, what's really super interesting is you can create a seriously cohesive and really polished look if you're leaning into that character. So, for example, you might have, someone who is, I don't know, very spiritual, very, that's kind of their, maybe it's part of what they do for people, but it's that essence that they want to put forward. And maybe it's like a goddess or something that's something that they would really resonate with, that their ideal clients would as well. So then you create a goddess like brand. And can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine like how visually that would come across and how cohesive it would look across everything you're doing when you have that character? So it's still you, it's just
Yep.
you like next level as this character that then people can really identify with and recognize.
Yeah. Yeah. And the interesting thing that can happen too, when you have a clear a sense of what your brand self is, and I know this from personal experience, it can be an aspirational, almost, so like the 6 words over my head, the guy who knows a guy, is the brand I've had strongly since 2020, loosely since 2017.
Mhm.
And the concept of the guy who knows a guy is someone who knows everyone, always has a connection, always has, and by extension has things under control, and has a good solid business, and understands, has the tool and the answer at all times. And at times in the past, that was more aspirational and less reality than it is today. And at
Mhm.
times in the future, I imagine it'll be less aspirational and more real than it is today. But people are talking about affirmation, and I'm not really big on affirmation. I am a millionaire, because then my brain immediately goes, "No, you're not. Who are you trying to fool there? No, you're not." So I'm not a fan of affirmations, because they're saying false things, hoping they'll be true. But to
Mhm.
say I am the guy who knows a guy, that is true. That's who I am. But then to hold the dissonance of I am this guy who knows a guy, I'm becoming that guy who knows a guy. And the ideal of that is, someone who knows everyone, who has every resource, who is fully connected. And the same thing, if your brand is that goddess who is fully in tune and fully doesn't get angry and is completely aligned and, very patient and highly intuitive. And maybe you're not that yet, but you're working towards that and you're well ahead of where your clients are on that path, is that can actually become a vision tool. Like your brand can become your vision tool. And that's how I've used it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And actually I love that you said that, because that's when people are doing next level things. Let's say, I have a client coming up who she is a speaker, paid speaker. She's a consultant. She has a nonprofit, all the things. And the way she's looking at things is much like she's looking at, oh my gosh, I want more. I want a bigger impact. I want to speak on more stages. I want to help more people and help bigger companies and things like that. So there's a lot of next level emotion there for her. And what it is that she is currently has for a brand isn't really reflecting that. And so, yeah, she wants to look the part. And so it doesn't mean that, I mean, you create all of that. It is just like you say, it ends up being, oh, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're seeing it every day. So there's the visual there. There's the, like, you have these words. The guy who knows a guy has a feeling and a mood to that. And that makes you feel an emotion. And that's the thing that's going to get you where, not the thing, but it's a thing that's going to help you get to that next level. So why not? Like, why not go there in your visuals? Why not make them that way so that you have that aspirational aspect to what you're doing in business?
Absolutely. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about the visual side, because at the times when I was more aspirational, I didn't have the money to hire someone to really do the look.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that, with someone like you, and you're doing photo shoots and graphics and whatnot, so you got the whole photo shoot where it's just a montage you on stages, or you use, even if you haven't been on a big stage, you do a photo shoot and then you Photoshop it in front of a huge audience. And now
Right.
you're looking at photographs of yourself. And, this isn't vision boards cut out of a magazine. This is photographs of you in the situations you aspire to be in, because that's your branding. But then that's also like you're literally looking at a photo of you doing it. Your brain already can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality, or vision and reality. So now you're looking at a photo, and your brain's like, well, we must be a famous speaker, because look, I can see a picture. It's right there in the picture.
Yes. Well, and don't even discount this, because it is huge, and that is confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care who you are. I don't care what level you've attained in business. There's always a problem that you're facing, and there's always a next level up for you. And so you will have those imposter syndrome thoughts and feelings that come up when you're going there. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have a brand, if you're looking at that, that's helping you get over that and giving you more of that confidence. Um, I would even just say this: every single time I have had a photo shoot with a client, they always come to me afterwards and say, I cannot believe this. I look the part. I look exactly how I want other people to look, or look at me rather. I want them to see me this way. And you captured that. I was like, that's the point. That's the point.
Mm.
We need to see you like that. Everyone needs to see you like that. You need to see you like that. And that all of those things come together to really create that confidence.
Yeah, and I love your approaches, because I have encountered, I'll say one or two marketing people that I have not had the deepest respect for their ability. Is that a polite way of saying that most
Sure.
marketers I meet are full of crap? Yeah. So, and a lot of people who are about branding are about like your brand colors. We have this wheel, and blue means this, and yellow means that, and purple means that. Like, they went to a 2-hour course and they learned some things and wrote them down, and that's their
Mhm.
teaching. And then like, you need this kind of color, and you should be the left, and it should be L-shaped, and blah, 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 blah. And none of it does anything. So same
Yeah.
thing with websites. Web designers, like beautiful websites that can't convert their way out of a paper bag. Someone shows up looking to buy, and they won't buy because the website is so poorly built to convert. Whereas what you're talking about with brand is really the core of what brand is, which is evoking an emotion, creating a connection beyond just what do you think of when you see this person, it really is about creating something that does something to the audience and draws them in a certain way.
Absolutely. And I like that you said that. The way that I see it, there's a lot of deep level stuff that we don't work on when we first start a business. And almost, I don't know, I would say it usually takes someone getting to a point of kind of serious frustration in their marketing before they
Mhm.
start to realize they need to do this work. But I'm sorry, like so many people go, oh, well, ideal client exercise. I get it. Yes, we have to do that. But there's much deeper work to be done that will actually bring you to that point, will bring you all the way through. It'll give you all of the core of that, of your brand, of your business. Doing branding is like actually doing a business foundation too. It's a part of a business foundation. So it's not, you can't leave that out. But my point is, I think a lot of people go to the marketing and they say, oh, I need more clients. I need more clients. I need more clients. And they want to do this like massive funnels and bring all these like thousands of people through. And then they're at the end of the day going, my God, I spent all this money and all this time and I don't have any business to show for it, or very little. And they don't ever think about, it's because you didn't start with the foundational stuff. You didn't build a brand. You didn't build the core. And then, which means you didn't know what the hell, who the hell to market to, or what your messaging was, or any of that. And you didn't have the mood. You didn't have the emotion there, and you didn't have the visuals there that actually would communicate, on a deeper level to people that you're the right fit. So I don't know. There's so much there. I get extremely passionate about it, obviously. But there's. I always just want to tell people, um, I don't want you to think about it as being work. This is actually like transformational stuff. Like, you go through this process. It's not just the photos that make you confident. It's the whole process. And you
Mhm.
step through this with me or whoever could do this with you. And at the other end of that, you are so freaking confident and clear about exactly where you're going to go. I mean, there's no other way. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Since you offered me the segue, I'm going to take it. I have a freebie called 9 Foundational Questions, which you can get at guyknowsaguy.com/map ebook, because I ran into exactly what you're talking about. I
Mhm.
basically realized I was wandering around wasting money for years because I didn't know what I needed. And so I finally basically channeled these 9 questions. I humbly say I'm not smart enough to have come up with these 9 questions of my own, but I opened myself to the universe and they flowed forth. Um, and and the 9 foundational questions, kind of getting to what you're saying. The first 3 are, um, what are your values? What is your goal, and how do you know when you've achieved that goal? In other words, what's your qualitative and quantitative goal? The next 3
Mhm.
are, who do you serve? What problem do you solve for them? And I'm forgetting one of the 5 questions. Who do you serve? What problem do you solve? Um, wow. Okay, I'm blanking out on the. I could run for president like this.
Is it like, what's the transformation for them?
Who do you solve? How do you solve it? And it, who do you solve? Who do you solve it for? What's the problem, and how do you solve it? That's what it is.
Ah, yeah.
I have those out of order. And then the last one is, how do you sell to them when you're in front of them?
Hmm.
How do you get them in front of you, and how do you build them into an audience? So
Hmm.
if you're doing it through an email list, it'd be, how do you sell them? How do you get them from your list to a meeting? How do you get them from the public to your list?
Hmm.
So those are basically the 9 foundational questions fundamentally, which clearly I need to study up on because you said that right quick.
Yeah.
But that's but the thing is, I found most people, if they're having trouble, they're missing one of question 4, what problem do you solve? That is the key one. They're missing one of the key 9 questions.
Hmm.
If they're missing something like, what is your goal, then they're getting tired because they're running forever and never crossing a finish line. If they're missing values, then they're probably misaligned. But most
Yeah.
of them are missing, what problem do you solve?
Hmm.
And who do you solve it for? Because if anyone says, oh, I work with everyone, or any woman I can work with, or any entrepreneur,
All
yeah,
right.
that's a big ocean to boil right there. But the biggest one I find is at last is question 7, 8, 9, which is, how do you sell it? How do you get into appointments? And how do you build your audience? Most people focus on question 9. How do you get
Yes.
them from the public to your audience? That's lead
Right.
generation. That's Facebook
Yes.
ads. That's running summits. That's
At
giveaways.
the end. That's not
Yep.
the brand part. That's at the
Yep.
end. Right.
And most have no question 7 strategy. And one thing I say is if your list is over 1,000 people, your email list, and you don't have at least 20 clients, you don't need more people. You need to
No.
convert from the 1,000 you already have.
Well,
Don't
and you
hire
know what?
someone to run an event to get more. You've already got enough.
Exactly. Or you have the wrong list, and that's because you haven't done the other stuff.
Yeah.
So that's happened to people for sure. I would say too, to add to that, I think that some of the biggest areas I see people not having understanding around, and believe it or not, is vision. And I always start with vision with people and
Mm-hmm.
walking them through this process of pulling it out of them. It's literally like a back and forth, like drilling down to really figure it out. And I do think that people don't completely understand what vision really is, because when I ask about it, they'll give me goals. And I
Mm-hmm.
say, well, that's not a vision, that's a goal. So your vision, and just this is something that everyone can take away from this today, is that your vision is something that you want to see, the change you want to see in the world. That's something that you really feel passionate about. You want to see this happen in the world. Like if you were on your deathbed and you were looking back and you said, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, my life, I achieved this amazing thing. What is it? And the reason people get stuck there is they're like, wait, but does that have to do with my business? And I'm like, it can be anything. Your business is the vehicle by which you achieve, or one of them by which you achieve the vision. So your vision's way bigger. And so many people have a problem going there. They're afraid or something. Or no one's ever asked them to do that. Or they think maybe it's not possible for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, starting with vision will help you hone in on all of those things.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I find a lot of people have placeholder goals because they don't really know what their goals are.
Yeah.
One phrase that if I'm ever coaching someone and they utter the phrase, I'm trying to build a 7-figure business, I'd be like, we're going to stop right there because you don't
Yeah.
have any goals. What? I just told you it's build a 7-figure business. No, it's
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
No one in the history of mankind has ever had that goal. They heard that in marketing. It sounded good and they went for it. But the way I know it's not true is no one ever in August had 999,000 annualized revenue, and in September had 1,000,001, and in September said, we made it, everything's good, my life is different. It's exactly the same. In fact, most people, when they cross the 7-figure mark, learn about it because their bookkeeper tells them 3 months later, hey, you're in 7 figures, just so you know. Oh, really? Nothing changed because it's not a real goal. Because it's just it. Now, you may be, when we get to X number, that means that then I can buy the house, or then I can hire the employee, or then my wife can quit her job, or then we can buy the boat, or what. But that's where goals turn into vision.
Yes.
And that's what matters. Money is just a number on a screen. And you want $1 million, convert your money into Zimbabwean dollars. I have $1 trillion bill upstairs. No, 100 billion. I don't know. It's a huge bill. They're called dollars. I have $100 billion upstairs.
Wow.
But they're Zimbabwean dollars, so not
Yeah.
quite the same. But yeah, exactly what you're saying is that an amount of money is rarely motivating, and if you're chasing after money, you'll never have enough money.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's not really about what the money. It's not about the money at all. That's just a measurement.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it is. All it is. It's really about much, much more than that. And I think to get maybe slightly spiritual about it, I feel that, when you really truly understand the vision, like things just open up. You just really start to see business differently. You start to see your interactions with people differently. Um, it gives you a lot of direction. It gives you, like, if you have that really very crystal clear vision, then you're like, I'm not going to go be on this person's podcast because it doesn't make any sense. It's not in the direction I'm headed, things like that. And it also, just as you say, it really can actually help you understand what the goals really are. So it's not the money. The money is what will help, right? We need the money because the money helps us. But knowing the vision will actually help you clarify the goals too. So it's literally
Mm-hmm.
the North Star for so many things. So we don't need to be like, passing over that.
Yeah. Well, and you made a great point there about your vision makes clear what you say no to.
Yeah.
Because if it's just, I want to make more money, we're like, well, if I go on that podcast, I might get another client, and that client might be worth it, might. Whereas if your vision, like one of my major goals is to get to the point where I can hire my wife out of her job onto my team.
Nice.
Because there's so many things that solves. There's so many different boxes that checks in different columns. So everything is about hitting a certain number that lets us do that. And I went to a mastermind a few weeks ago, and I realized that, yeah, that's my goal, and that's the vision I'm working towards. But it's not, I have not been holding it front and center. And so I've gotten distracted. And so I'm like, oh yeah, how about this thing? And how about that thing? And maybe do this, maybe write this, maybe do that. And I'm looking at what I'm doing, and I'm like, how many of these things are helping me? Because every time you say yes to something, you say no to everything else.
Oh yeah.
So I've got all these things I'm doing, and then I'm thinking, well, what happened with that project? Oh, I didn't put enough energy into it. What happened to that project? Didn't put enough energy into it because I was doing. Yes. And so I came back, and I'm like, this is the goal. And then I'm like, this is the 12-month goal, 6-month, 3-month, 1 month, 1 week. Like that is what we are driving towards, and anything that does not get us there in alignment through what I do, the guy knows the guy, bringing people together, running JV Connect, running the Entrepreneur Village. And sometimes I do, like I recently launched a Circle community. Circle's like a private Facebook. It's really cool. And I recently launched that. I'm like, that fits exactly what I'm doing. It's a clear yes. Whereas some of the other things people say, hey, can you promote my program, or you want to come on this giveaway or whatever? It's like maybe it's something, but is that worth saying no to working on one of the projects I'm really focused on to join another giveaway or to come on another summit or to, whatever. And I'm more and more being like, nope. And in fact, I was able to take a day off yesterday, and it was on my list. I took a day off from speaking. Like I did not say words with my mouth for the entire day because I'd been hit in the throat during a freak hugging accident. And if you're not on my email list, then actually I posted the article in the Circle. So I'll drop that link in a banner in a moment. So you can read the story about why I couldn't talk yesterday. But I could do that because I had no appointments, because I only had like 4 networking meetings this whole week, because I've gotten much better at saying no to the ones that, someone sent me 12 introductions the other day.
Oh my God.
Almost every one of them I replied with, could you please give me a little more clarity on what, what you think we might find this meeting. 2 of them, I'm like, let's go. Here's my calendar. I definitely want to meet you. The other 10, and I understand this because I used to do the same thing. I'd meet you and be like, oh, I know 12 people. Blah, 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 blah. Until I realized that it's quality, not quantity. Absolutely. And I don't, 12 meetings, I do 30-minute meetings. That's 6 hours.
Yeah, that's way too much.
Oh my God. 3 hours a meeting. That's 2 days. That's 2 entire days. If I was to meet with all those people, for not quite clear reasons. Even my summits, someone will say, hey, yeah, can we meet? I want to learn about your summits. No, you can read the application. If you want to know about the summit, come to one. If you want to speak, apply for one. I'll meet you at the summit. I have 10 speakers per summit. I run 20 summits a year. I'm not going to take a 30-minute meeting with every speaker. I'll meet you at the summit. Come to the summits. We have places for that.
Yes.
So, yeah, I've gotten a lot, and a lot of it is the power of what you say no to.
100%. And, this is sort of one of those added benefits of having that clarity, by the way. Like once you go through this process of building your brand, there's so much of those things that you can start to say no to, because you're just going to know, like, you're just like, oh, okay. So let's just give an example. If I know that the types of clients I'm looking for are high level people who are, going to the next level, let's say they're at a few $100,000 in their business and their next level for them is a 7-figure business, then that group of people is likely not going to be looking at a VSL, right? Video sales letter. They're probably not going to be, marketing or not marketing, looking for someone in that way. They're going to be looking for someone to help them, but they're going to be doing that through like, hey, who do you know? They're going to come to you, Michael, and they're going to say, you know, a guy or a gal, like, who would that be? Like, I need this. Who would it be? So that really cuts out a lot of BS, doesn't it? Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to actually be doing all of the stuff that we all try to do because I know who my next client is.
Mm.
So knowing that really helps you in so many ways, just as we've
Yeah.
outlined them. It's the confidence that you have, it's the direction, it's actually achieving goals and achieving vision. It's knowing exactly, how you're going to market yourself, saying no to things, saying yes to things, all of those things. That's possible for you if you're really focused on that.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And that's, um, and realizing that all the, if you're seeing all these marketing gurus saying it, you must have a VSL, you must have a funnel, you must have this, you must have that.
Well,
They must. So half of them don't do what they say.
yeah,
They don't take their own medicine.
right.
But even if they do, a lot of times, I had someone. I was in a group, and he said, let's look at what Tony Robbins does. And I'm like, let's not. Tony Robbins runs a 10-figure company. He has teams larger than my network. Like he has more people on his payroll than I have show up at a summit
Mhm.
to just run a single launch. So no, there's nothing I can learn from what he does. I mean, not nothing. There's always something, but
Mhm.
structurally, he has someone who's in charge of just the one aspect. Like they're writing this, that's their whole job. Well, I'm doing everything, me and AI.
Mhm.
So I can't look at what Tony Robbins does or what Brendon Bouchard does or someone like that and emulate it because I don't have their structure and apparatus, even if I did want to have their system. So I need to look at what do I do? Or what does someone like me does? What does another solopreneur who doesn't have a large team, how does it work for them? And one thing I was like to point out is there's someone probably out in the Yukon or something who's making good money, 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, who has no website. Maybe they have no cell phone. They may have no internet connection, but they're in a place where people want to pay them. Maybe it's a diesel mechanic out in farm country. They don't even
Mhm.
have a cell phone, but people pay them $5,000 to fix their tractor. Not everyone needs the website, the funnel, the this, the that, the other thing.
Mhm.
And um, thank you, Toby. Toby says, I learned so much from Michael Whitehouse. He is the guy to follow and learn from. Sorry, Tony Robbins.
Yeah, no kidding. Well,
That's
I
a
appreciate
lot
that you
easier to get
said
on my
that.
show than Tony's show, by the way.
Say that again.
A lot easier to get on my show than Tony's
Oh,
show.
that's true. I love that you said that because how many people have you known who they get maybe, well, I don't know, they feel like they're doing things right. They feel like they need more education about marketing, right? They feel like, and so they go and they buy these big programs. I just met someone on a sales call that did this. She went off and she bought, I think it was the Grant Cardone Tony Robbins joint program that they were, I think that's what she told me.
Mm-hmm.
And she spent a ton of money to do that, but it's all, she has to do it all herself. There's no coaching. Well, there might be like some sort of like big group coaching and things like that, but there's no one to really lead her through these things. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, you didn't need any of that. You're still trying to figure out where you want to head. Like, you need to spend time there.
Yeah.
The marketing part has to happen after the figuring out part. And if
Mm-hmm.
you spend your dollars in the right places, no matter like wherever you are, if you've already done that work of the brand, then by all means, invest in the marketing piece of it. But know what is the best next step for you, and you will know that if you've
Yeah.
done the brand. But point being is there's so much out there, and that's really, I guess, my biggest pet peeve is all of the marketing programs that say that they give a cursory glance to the brand as part of their program, very like high level stuff, and they promise that you're going to make all this money if you just follow their direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but it's cookie cutter and it doesn't work for everybody. Every single person's brand is different, and every single person's marketing is going to be different. My marketing is completely different from yours, but it
Yeah.
still works because it works because it's me and it's my brand. And it works for you because it's you and it's your brand.
And I think people have this idea of, oh, they're so successful, I want to pay them, I want to be near them, which is cool, but you're not near them. You're just watching
Nope.
watching recordings of them they did 5 years ago.
Yep.
And you're going to get much more value out of someone who's going to work with you, someone who's
Mhm.
going to work directly with you. And if you take that same $10,000 and you hire a coach who's going to work with you one-on-one, any coach who's going to work with you one-on-one, you're probably going to get more out of it than that $10,000 program. I mean, the Foundations Inner Circle, $100 a month. And the reason I do that is because I realize most people don't need the answer. They need to be, sometimes it's like, I want to send out an email list. What software should I use? So I'll say, well, here's 3 that I like.
Mhm.
So sometimes you want that answer. It's going to save you 6 hours of just futzing around looking at a review.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you want that answer, but I can't give you the answer of what your brand is, but I can help you find your answer of what your brand is. Or Melissa, you can help them better. That's your specialty. But I can't give you the answer of what your sales strategy is, but I can say, here are some sales strategies.
Yeah.
And which one of those resonates with you? Well, I think this one. Okay, here's where you can go to learn the one that you just said resonated with you, and here's how you can dive into that. One of the biggest things I do in my inner circle is I give people permission to not do things.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so perfect.
Yeah, you don't have to spend $3,000 on a website. I had one person, she wanted to build a website because she wanted the credibility of, people will say, where's your website? And so I don't have one. They're like, really? You're a coach, you don't have a website? Are you even legit? So she wanted a legitimate website. She was going to pay someone $3,000 up front and $150 a month. And they were going to do survey. They're going to write blog posts and do a bunch of other stuff. But she's a licensed professional.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you're a licensed professional. You have all kinds of standards and ethics and guidelines. Do you want someone else writing your content? She's like, not really. I'm like, you comfortable writing your own content? Yeah, I love writing my content. Like, then why would you pay someone to write your content for you? But all she saw was, I need a website. Oh, they're selling a website. That must be what it cost. I said, you can go on Wix for $20 a month, grab a template, put your photo in it, put your bio in it, put your contact information, maybe a little video. Boom, you got a website. Job's done. You don't need a $3,000 website unless you need a $3,000 website.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. Yeah, the whole website thing is a whole nother ball of wax, honestly. I mean, it really is a whole another conversation.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think too many people, here's what comes up for me when you start talking about that, is that we put too many things in our way. We, subconsciously or otherwise, we're like, oh, this is the thing we need in order to get to that thing I want. And often it's none of that stuff is important. I mean, look, I'll use that same example. If you're looking for a high ticket client, yeah, I mean, they may want to see a website, but you know what? They're going to take way more credence from someone who introduced you to them. And they're going to take, you know what I mean? Or it's a couple things. It's the referral and it's also them seeing you in action. So if you stand up and you are speaking and you know what the hell you're talking about, they're going to go, wow, that they know what they're talking about. So whether or not you have a website is going to be somewhat irrelevant.
Yeah.
So I think we just spend so much time thinking I need this, I need this, I need this. No, just freaking do it. Just go do it.
Well, and get back to your earlier point of confidence. So for people, so it's about how you answer that question. If you lack confidence because you don't have a website, then they're going to say, where's your website? It's like, oh, I'm working on it. I just don't have it yet. And then people are like, oh, okay. But if they say, yeah, where's your website? I don't need a website. Yeah. I'm talking to you right now. I'm telling you what I do. My clients don't need a website to hire me, and you don't either. Let's go. If you answer that way, they'll be like, oh, I thought you needed a website, but now, when two worldviews come together, there is a conflict between them. One is stronger and will win. So their worldview is a coach has a website. If your worldview is I don't need a website, they're going to say, oh, well, I'm no expert on coaching. I just thought so. I never mind. Sure. Okay. Yeah. My first 10 coaching clients I signed up, I learned how to sell coaching before I learned how to do coaching. Because I totally skidded. I mean, my business started in 2020, so you can imagine the orderly transition that was. First thing I did was I learned a sales strategy for coaching. I was trying to sell magazine ads, totally didn't work for that. But the guy who taught it to me said, well, you seem like, basically like you seem like coaching material. Why not just go sell some coaching? You'll be fine at it. So I followed the strategy and it worked really well. I had no website. I mean, I had a website, but it didn't really talk much about the coaching. I didn't really have much of a. I didn't have any of the collateral, but I prospected through social media, got people in the conversations, got them on calls, confidently took them through a process, asked a lot of questions, got them talking about themselves, got them dreaming about the perfect solutions they want. And then when I asked them to sign up, they said, okay, sure. And this happened, it was either 8 or 10 times. And then, of course, they'd stay for 1 month and leave because I didn't have the skills to deliver. That's why I went out and got certified as a coach and all the rest. But the point is, if I, with no credentials, could just basically follow a script, and the script was almost all questions, and get them to buy it. Well, I realized none of the rest of that stuff matters. You just need to be able to get into conversations and know what you're going to say on those conversations. And once you do, they'll say, oh, and they will forget everything they think they know about what a coach needs to be, because, or whatever it needs to be, because you are now rewriting the script for them. Because all they've seen and what they've seen online. Once you're talking to them, and these, if I'd been able to serve them, they were buying $500 a month coaching packages. So if I'd been able to serve them, this would have been $5,000 a month in revenue built up over about 6 weeks. And it's not like I'm uniquely good at sales, because I'm actually not great at it, because I'm so fixated on always telling the truth.
So you're saying that salespeople don't tell the truth? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the ones who sell everyone all the time,
okay.
I've worked in sales enough to know that. So the trick I found for the best salespeople, the ones who are just like totally cleaning up, it's not that they were consciously lying, it's that they did not make the effort to learn enough to know what was incorrect. They were focused on learning technique, and they just slammed those deals. And I knew too much. So like when I sold insurance, I knew there was between whole and term, and why whole doesn't serve these clients' needs. And so I'd lose those sales. The people who were more effective, they didn't bother to learn that stuff. They're like, well, video says this is the best for you. You should do it. And by not gaining the knowledge, they never had the voice in the back of their head saying, I don't know if this is best for you.
There's no like conscience issue, because it's not, the information's not there. That's interesting. And what's one thing I do want to point out too is I think you were so like successful with those sales conversations because you understood how to walk people through those things. But in part, it's like you knew who you were talking to and that they were the right fit for what you were trying to offer, which is, I think there's a lot of mismatching happening with people, which, just so y'all know, that's the brand. So it's not the marketing, it's not the sales, all the stuff that you walk people through. You understood that at first before you actually got on those sales calls. Am I right?
Yeah.
Like you knew.
So the strategy, I learned the strategy, I actually had a script to follow. And the great thing about questions is you don't have to be as confident as statements. So you can be following. In fact, if you're new to sales, then you can, and there's different experts who will teach different questions sets. Basically, it usually comes down to bring them up, bring them down, bring them up. So where are you now? Where do you want to be? Let's go deeper into where you are now. Now let's talk about what it would take to get to your perfect place. And now they're coming with you on the emotional roller coaster, and they're like, yeah, I've been down, I've been up. Can we go up? And you'd be like, okay, well, so here's what we need. And then the key phrase that was so powerful is, would you like help with that? So, where do you want to be? What's stopping you from getting there? What do you need? Oh, I need this. Would you like help with that? Well, yeah. I never said I could do this stuff. I just said, what do you need? And you said something, and I said, would you like help with that? And then you bought it. But if you're confident in talking to the right people, then you can get a series of questions. And you could actually, if you're like very uncomfortable with the sales process, you could simply say, so I have this process I bring people through to see if they're a fit for me to work with. So if it's okay, we're going to go through a few questions and just, please be honest and whatever. And like, and you don't want to be like, all right, question 2, because that feels
it's just perfect.
But so if they see you're reading a question, because sometimes your voice pitch changes when you're reading, If you said ahead of time, I've got, a process I take people through that's very effective and I think you'll find it very valuable, they'll be like, okay, sure. And then if it feels like you're reading questions, it's okay because you are reading questions, but they're well chosen for them. And they work. People don't need to be in control. They just need to know someone's in control. So if you say, I've got 7 questions we're going to go through, I think you're really going to like them, a lot out of them. So can we go ahead and do that? Yeah. They're like, awesome. We got a process. We're not just going to ramble around for 30 minutes.
No, and it's not going to be like, oh, we got to be friends and that's all that happened in this call.
Yep.
I always start out any kind of conversation like that where I kind of set the tone and I say, listen, it's my intention to talk today with you and figure out whether or not, I want to hear about your business. I want, you to get information on what I can do and determine if we're the right fit to work together. And if not, that's fine. Is that your intention too? And then they'll say yes or no. I mean, if they say yes, and they're great. Okay, let's get started. That way they know by the end of the call, there's a decision to be made.
Yeah.
Because that's another sticky thing. And so then I can also refer back and say at the end of the call, if they say, well, I need some time to think about it. Say, oh, so at the beginning of the call, I said that I wanted to make sure you had all the information you need to make sure you can make a good decision. And we agreed that we do that. So is there any question that you still have that I haven't answered? And that way I can pull out more objections and things like that. But yeah, I do like that. It is about taking control of it. The whole conversation, you need to lead it.
Yeah. Yeah. Two of the coolest things that were in the script that I was taught is 2 opening questions. One is, why'd you choose to speak with me as opposed to someone else? And the other is this a problem that you want to deal with right now, or is it something you want to deal with down the road? Because the 2 biggest objections are, I don't know if you're the right person, and there's no urgency. I'll do it later. So up front, before the pressure's on, they've now answered those objections. And if they don't give you good answers, you end the call.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like, I don't know. Well, you wanted to meet with me. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it sounds like we don't really need to talk about anything. And then they're like, no, wait. Now they're pulling you into a sales conversation. And you're not. I love
that. That's really good. That's really good. I hadn't thought about it. I do have a similar questioning, but it happens later. So I'm going to go put that why not?
Yeah. The other thing that that script did was at the beginning, it said, I'm going to ask you a series of questions to see if you'd be a fit to work with me. Not if I'm fit for you, if you're a fit for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And at the end, based on what you share, I will, if I'm able to help you, then I will say so. If not, I will share with you resources. So in other words, you're setting up front that I'm interviewing you to see if you qualify to hire me. And so no matter the context, people want to be approved. So at the end, it was brilliant with the script at the end for yes or no. It's the same sentence, which I think is psychological for the person selling. So no matter whether you're going to say yes, you're going to say no, you read the same series of words. At the beginning of, I don't remember exactly, but something like, at the beginning of this conversation, I shared that I would be determining if you're a fit to work, if I'd be able to help you or not, and if you'd be a fit to work with me or not. And I said that if I couldn't, then I'd point you in the right direction to other resources. So I'm now putting in their head of like, I might be about to reject you. They're like, no, please tell me I'm good enough. Please let me in, please. They're like, so fortunately, this is a good fit. I thought you were going to reject me. All right. What do I need to do? $500? Yeah. Okay, sure. So relieved. I thought I was going to qualify.
Yeah. That's what do they call that? Is that NLP or something? Like just the
I was sure it's a takeaway close, but it's probably
meaning like it's like the way that you say things will really have an effect on how people interact with you, and you're almost like, I don't know, psychologically, I don't even want to use the bad term, but it's manipulation, but not in a bad way. It's like a leading again.
Yeah, well, it's definitely frame setting, because the typical frame is, I'm the salesperson, I'm trying to convince you, versus the, Harvard's trying to sell you an education too, but you're trying to convince them why you should get in.
That's exactly right. And listen, if we want to build a next level brand, that's how we should be thinking about things.
Yeah.
That is, it is an honor and a privilege for people to work with you.
Absolutely.
Because you are good at what you do.
So we are coming to the end of the hour, and it is time to head off to the. It is time for me to head off to the Entrepreneur Village, and anyone else who wants to join us, let me drop that link in the. Here it is, guyknowsguy.com/village. You can join us. That's where I go right after this. But I also want to share one other place because Melissa is going to be a speaker on the Win More Dream Client Summit on July 25th. And so the easiest way to find that is summits.fun and scroll down and find the register. There's a direct link, but it's like long and you're not going to copy it off the screen. So summits.fun is the easy one where you can do that. So definitely come and join us with Melissa, and quite a few other speakers will be there as well because Tommy Merched Parrish and I both recruited speakers and got carried away. So it's going to be an amazing event. We have people from both sides of the pond, US and a whole bunch of folks in England. So that's going to be awesome. So Melissa, are there any final thoughts you want to share? And I have this link that you gave us if you want to tell us.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Can I drop a different link in there as well?
You can drop a different link there. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just paste this for you. Maybe you could grab that. I don't know, because I don't know how I can.
You putting that in the private chat?
I just did. Yeah.
Okay.
So what this is, twice a month, what I hold is it's my brand power hour. And what I do there is I do like teach a little bit about a brand topic. And then I am really interested in getting questions that people have about their brand, like what are they stuck with? And I can actually help you through that. I also do try to devote a little bit of that time to getting people connected that show up, because oftentimes we can meet someone that we're like, oh my gosh, they know the people I want to meet. And so I want to get people hooked up that way. I want people to actually have, by the end of the call, a new connection, either with the person in the room or with an introduction that person can make for them. So it's kind of a mix of a few different things inside that brand power hour. So go and check that out, and you can sign up for whichever ones you want to attend.
Pretty cool. And Melissa, I encourage you to go to this link, go join the circle, and then in the announcement section, you can share that as well. And everyone else can come into the circle and continue these kinds of conversations with lots of cool people. So
good.
And with that, Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been a great conversation. I've never had one of these shows go bad, whether one person or four people be like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't show up. Be like, yeah, the universe didn't want you there. It's fine. So,
it was super fun.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you for being on. Feel free to drop in or to apply again. We use the amusement park model, which is you get on the ride and then you can get back in line as soon as you get off. So happy to have you back. And we'll see you in 2 weeks at the Win More Dream Clients Summit Mastermind. So that'll be a good time too. All right. Thank you.
Bye.